Hi folks, and welcome back on my channel tonight. So today we're going to be talking about English. Now, basically, in this channel, in this series, I'm going to be talking about the motivation in order to tackle the various languages. So I started with more rare languages, and I moved all the way up to English, which is the fifth language I'm dealing with in this series. So a couple of other languages are still pending, and I will be dealing with them in a couple of upcoming days. So basically, what we're observing is English is dominating the world. I mean, it has really set itself as the most important language all around the world. Wherever you go, whatever you do, it's everywhere. It's in literature, it's in business, it's in travel, it is in art, it's in science, research. Anywhere you go, you find English. So there is no telling about the fact that English has got a very, very important position in the world today and has become one of the most prominent language worldwide. So learning it is really important, and the question as to whether English has to be learned pretty much obviates itself. So the video will be more about what kind of level of proficiency would you like to reach in order to be fully conversant in English. So first of all, what is English in the first place? Well, of course, English is a West Germanic language like German, like Dutch, and like a series of other languages which are spoken by fewer mother tongue speakers or native speakers. But beyond that, beyond the fact that English is a language, English is also a very important communication tool worldwide. Now, English is spoken by 400 million native speakers. But, and this is the salient fact about English that makes English so special, it's spoken by far many more non-mother tongue speakers, actually as many as 1.5 billion people, which actually works out to 20% of the world population. So we might actually say that a fifth of the mankind, fifth of the world population speaks English at some level, from native all the way down to a basic level, which might be scored at something around an A1 or A2 level. So there is no telling about the fact that English is the world lingua franca nowadays, and that is not about to change. Take a Dane that wants to negotiate with a Finn, or take a Japanese wanting to enter a commercial relationship with a Romanian, or a Brazilian wanting to negotiate with a Russian. Which language are they going to speak together? It's pretty obvious, it's going to be English. So how did English get there? How did it become the dominating language worldwide? It all started out in history. It is actually a combination of history, opportunity, natural expansion, and I would say IT, technology, high tech. So it's all started out when the British Empire expanded and spread the language throughout the whole world. Then from the beginning of the 20th century, the USA became a global economic power and kept on expanding the language worldwide. And I would say IT. Now, if you look at YouTube or Wikipedia or internet in general, did all the rest. As much as 90% of all the internet content, online content, is published in English. So that tells you, speaks books about the importance of language, of the English language worldwide. So that's how English became so important. Now, why is it important to improve your level of proficiency of English? The thing is, don't misunderstand me. Understanding and speaking English and having a mastery of English at the basic level is already an achievement as such. It opens doors. I mean, even if you have an A1, A2 level, you will to some degree make yourself understood in a very basic context. move up to a B level and you'll be probably quite conversing in most setups, in most circumstances. You'll be able to speak, to communicate at work, you'll be able to have a full conversation, you'll be able to understand a book, a movie to some extent, as long as it doesn't get too intricate, as long as it doesn't get too idiomatic, you'll be able to get yourself by. Now, if you move up, and if you commit yourself to moving up to a C1 or C2 level, a whole universe will open up to you. Opportunities that remained closed off so far, be there professional opportunities or opportunities, academic opportunities, will suddenly become possible because of this level of understanding. Now with a B2, B1, B2 level, you will understand most of what is being said in English, but you will occasionally have to fall back on your mother tongue in order to understand what's being said. With a C1, C2 level, that will not happen anymore. You actually live the language completely and understand everything that's going on around you. The other thing is also, having a C1 level will also enable you to not only read books, not only read memos, not only watch movies, but to actually experience them exactly the way they are supposed to be experienced. And that speaks volumes for itself. So how do you get to a high level of proficiency? The first thing is, if you want to embark on a journey, is you have to find out where you are. So the first step might be to take a placement test. Taking a placement test will show you exactly where you are, and that will show you the next destination. Which level do you want to move up to? Once you have determined that, and with that in mind, you can set yourself a goal. And setting yourself a goal should be done in terms of, first of all, the next level you want to tackle, and also setting yourself a timeline. That will make the whole difference and really motivate you. The next thing is, try to acquire as much exposure to language as you possibly can. Try to rub elbows with mother tongue speakers, for instance. You might even travel to an English-speaking country and stay there for a while if it's possible. And if that's not possible, it's not an excuse not to improve your English. You can learn English right where you are, just exactly because English is so widespread on the internet. So you might want to get hold of material that you find interesting, that actually goes in line with your personal centers of interest, and you might want to really get more and more exposure in English in these very topics that you like so much. So getting exposure is good. But consuming only is not enough. You have to also be able to deliver something. You have to be able to produce something. And that has to be done on two levels. First of all, speaking is very important, and making mistakes is very important too, believe it or not. My best teacher was my last mistake. Same thing applies to writing, and here the same rule applies. If you make a mistake, you're going to learn even more. So that's how you get there, and consistency is also very, very important. When you are consistent in your efforts, when you learn a little bit every day, you will see the curve going upwards. Whereas if you try to concentrate your studying efforts over the weekend, for instance, and have large learning sessions, you will find yourself exhausted, and the results are not going to be as truthful as if you do it on a regular basis. So with that in mind, I would really very much want to encourage you to work on your English the way I do. I dedicate myself to my English on every Tuesday. So although I did my placement test, I passed 24 years ago the proficiency examination, so I have officially a C2 level. It's not something you can take for granted. So the other thing is, that's the next challenge. Once you've reached a very good level, you have to make sure that you maintain this level, and that's the next challenge as well. So even for me, it's difficult to keep up with a good level of English all the time, and I find myself sometimes struggling, and I find myself sometimes being diverted and distracted by all sort of other languages I have to learn I have to use on a daily basis, for instance, be it German, Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, just name them. and it can be very challenging. Now, I really would like to encourage you again to embark on this journey to improve your proficiency of English. And I would be also very inquisitive and very curious to know about your experience by so doing. So where are you at the moment? What are you doing? What are the challenges you're coming up with when learning English? You might want to share these comments in the section down below. Let me know. I would be very interested. And with that in mind, I would say thank you very much for your attention and keep it up. Bye-bye.